Welcome to Media Production Information Session. My name is Eileen Ni, the Graduate Program Administrator. Tonight, I have the lead for the Graduate Program Administrator, Tonisha, joining us, and the Manager Administration, Daniel Garcia, and the Graduate Program Director. Okay, a quick overview of the agenda. We have very short intro, and we'll continue with the program overview. And at the end, we'll have admissions and funding. And right after that, we have a Q&A session because I'm sure you have a lot of questions. Okay, I would like to begin the session with a land acknowledgement that Toronto Metropolitan University is located at. Toronto is in the dish with one spoon territory. The dish with one spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. I encourage you to do some research about the land acknowledgement and the land that you are going to study with Toronto Metropolitan University. Okay, over to you, Lara.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Nanich. I am the program director for the Masters of Media Production program. So welcome and thank you so much for coming to our session today. I'm going to go over a lot about our program. There's going to be a lot of information here, but we will record the session and you can view it at any time, and you're always welcome to send questions to us and we will do our best to answer them if you still have any questions after the program. But we will leave lots of time right at the end of our presentation for you to ask questions live here. So we are a part of the RTA School of Media and the Yates School of Graduate Studies, and we have a one-year Masters of Media Production program. So it's a really intense year. It's quite flexible in terms of what types of projects you are able to do. So I will go through a bit about the curriculum. I'll tell you what kind of projects that you can work on, how supervising works, what some of your career options will be, what you can do after graduations, and some things like that. So just to get us started, this is a screenshot from Beautiful Dreamer done by one of our recent students we had, just to give you an idea of how beautiful some of the shots can be of what our students have been doing. The work that they do is really professional, and I'm really proud of all of our students. Next slide, Elaine. So this is another one of our students, Rob Lazar, from Toronto International Film Festival. We have had students do all kinds of productions. They have worked with people in industry. We've had students getting their productions into film festivals. We'll show you some more examples of things like that. We've had students create their own businesses based on what they do within our program. So we just really want to welcome all of you to whatever it is that you want to do and whatever makes sense for you. So what kind of person are we looking for to come into this program? Because it's so broad. If you have an undergraduate degree in media or something related, that is a huge help, because we're not really getting you started on media production. We're expecting you to come into the program already knowledgeable about how to create things if you're going to create something, or at least about the industry if you're going to be writing a paper. So we want to make sure that you have some knowledge of production tools. If you're going to be doing any kind of a production at all, we want to make sure you come into the program knowing how to use those tools. Maybe the editing software is different, or the cameras that you've used are a little bit different. That's fine, but we want to make sure you do have at least the basics of how to produce things. We also have a lot of students who work on the business side or the management side and are interested in becoming working in the business and management side of things. So if that's more your story and that's what you want to do, we have space for you too. So not every student has to create something. If you want to work on business development, or you want to work on distribution methods or revenue generating things, that we have room for that as well. We also have room for students who are just passionate about research, who they want to learn more about audiences, or they want to learn more about any kind of thing research in the media. So we can make space for students doing all of those kinds of things within this program. It's really, really quite flexible for you. Next slide. So here is another one example of a screenshot of one of our students. He didn't actually do a full animated program. He created a series Bible, and he created the look of what the characters are going to be like, so that he would be able to get this made. You know, when he had the time and the money and the resources, he could get his production made. So, but he did develop the look of the characters. He created the scripts. He created the Bible, like basically a whole series worth of whole season's worth of it. He went to work for Guru, and he did an internship at Guru, and then got hired by Guru right after his master's degree. Next slide. This is Rebecca Miskin, another screenshot. She did an amazing job with her film. She did a film called Night Owl, and it actually premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival. And she has been doing fantastic work since then, and has been winning awards even since then. Next slide. Alex Golodkin, another one of our former students. When he was here, he wanted to create or take a look at scouting sets, finding locations for films. So he actually created a company called Set Scouter, and he now has locations in Toronto, Miami, New York, Austin, Los Angeles, and is very successful in film location business. Another one, some more of our MMP graduates, who they were part of the Shaw Rocket Fund, did a boot camp for emerging animation writers. So as you can see, we have a lot of variation in what our students can do. Here's another one, Big Brother. We had Daniel was working. He wanted to learn about casting for reality series and how people go about casting. How do they choose the people who are going to be on these shows? So he did research in that. Then he ended up interning and working for Big Brother Canada, and used that as part of his MRP as well. So lots of connections with industry. So we have a lot of areas of study. So you can see this really wide variation, but mostly we're looking for people who want to be executive producers and creative producers. Because our program is only 1 year in length, it doesn't give you a lot of time to create a really large productions, but we want to make sure that you are people who will understand the production process. You'll understand how to build a team. You'll understand how to say, this is my vision, and here's how I can get it made. So that's really kind of the type of person that we're looking for. So if you're interested in business, the business side of media, or managing media, or audiences, if you want to develop a series, like that animation example that I showed you, if you want to do series Bible, what we'd be looking is if you want to do series development, but as a producer. So if you're interested in screenwriting, we have a screenwriting degree, a separate screenwriting degree, screenwriting and story design. So we're not looking for people within this program who are trying to write a screenplay, but if you already have a screenplay ready and you want to work on the series development and series Bible for it, that we can accommodate for you in this program. Same thing for if you wanted to do a documentary, for example. We are looking at it, if you want to do a documentary as a producer, that's great. But if you're just looking, I want to understand how to make documentaries work, there's a documentary media master's program as well. So this program focuses on people who want to be the producer, the executive producer, the creative producer. New media, digital media, we have lots of students doing those things. A number of students this year doing podcasts and audio production, music recording. Just about every year we have some students who do music recording, live music recording, maybe produce an album. A number of short films, web series. A lot of students who are doing some production will do proof of concept. So proof of concept meaning maybe they don't have the time or the budget to create the entire show, but you can create a shorter sort of a trailer, or you can do a few scenes just to make sure that you have something really high quality when you graduate that would give a sense of the aesthetic, what you would want it to look like, what the characters would like, what, you know, is it dark, is it bright, what should it look like? So you have something to show off along with all the development, all the pre-production type of thing that you have to show off if you were trying to gain funding and get your project launched. We also have people who do apps. And we also always have people who are doing something to do with business concepts, revenue building, distribution, things like that. Next slide. So yeah, basically people who want to be executive producers and creative producers. We'll talk a little bit in the coming up about the MBA program. We have a pathway so that you can actually get your Master of Arts, and then within the next year, you will also get an MBA. So it's a 2-year. In 2 years, you can actually get 2 distinct degrees. So you'll get a Master of Arts and a Master of Business Administration. So we're really looking for people who want to be the executive producers. So a few examples of what are students doing this year and the last couple of years. We had one student work on hybrid drum sounds. Another student did a web series dealing with sex education in the age of TikTok. We had someone do research on horror movies from a new feminist perspective. We had another student, we had an international student who did a podcast on the vanishing Kalingo tribe. We've had people someone did a critical history of showrunners. And someone else did a comic web series about microaggressions. We've had students that one of our business students was doing something about ways of distributing sports media. Another student did a paper on grassroots creation of television dramas. We are having students this year. We have a student who is creating a video game, virtual production video game using game mechanics, and creating a superhero game where the 4 main characters are all BIPOC, which is kind of unusual in video games. We have someone else who is looking at interactive media, creating media with low, medium, and high levels of interactivity, and looking at linear and non-linear content. So he's going to have the same content and shift it depending on the level of interactivity that is needed. And we also have someone else who's taking a look at subtitles and dubbing of foreign languages. And if you have that in your programming, how does it affect the audience perception of those stories? So as you can see, it is a wide variation. We have a lot of choice for you. So if there's something that has to do with media, we can pretty much work with that, and we can work with you with that on whatever it is that you are passionate about. Next slide. Okay, so what's your year look like? It is a busy year. So the first term, we usually recommend you take 4 courses. 3 of them are required. So you take a project development course, which I have been leading for the last probably 15 years. And in that course, we take a look at a little bit of everything that you need to make sure that your project is going to get off to a good start, either your project or your major research paper. So the goal is by the end of the term, you will have your project proposal all set, signed off by a supervisor, and you'll be basically ready to go by the time January starts. We look at everything from legal issues to how you would set yourself up in a business, to what you need to do to get the research ethics board clearance, to academic integrity issues, to how to actually write things in a graduate setting, reading and writing at the graduate level, because for a lot of people, this is your first time in graduate school, and it's quite different from undergrad. So it's a little bit of everything you need to get yourself set up and to make sure that your project is up and ready and that you'll be ready to go. You also have to take a creative research methods course, and the research methods focus primarily on qualitative research methods. There's a bit of quantitative as well, but for the most part, we're looking at qualitative methods. That's what most of our students use. And the third course that is required is communication and aesthetics theory. So there is a fair amount of theory in the program. There's also quite a bit of hands-on. As you are working on your own project, you're going to be working on things that are hands-on. And some of the other media electives, there's quite a bit of hands-on, but it is a graduate level program. And absolutely there is theory involved, but it's theory that you can use to scaffold your own work onto. So it's theory that's helping you to understand audiences. It's helping you to understand content, why we make things the way we do, and how to make things better, how to make your content better than it would be if you hadn't taken the theory courses. Just it's to give you an understanding of how and why to make things as well as you can. So those are the 3 required courses. We also ask that you can take 1 elective. So within the program, you have to take 3 electives. 1 of them has to be interdisciplinary, and 2 of them come from either communication and design or media production. So you can switch around which term you want to take those electives in. You can take 1 elective from any of those things in the fall term, or you could take all of the electives in the winter term. We usually recommend that you take 1 elective in the fall, kind of front load yourself in the fall, get a lot of your courses out of the way. It lightens up your winter term so that it will start to give you more time to work on your project, that whatever your production is going to be. So by the end of the fall term, you should have a good idea of what your project will be. It should be agreed upon with your supervisor. You'll have a budget in mind. You'll have a timeline in mind. You'll know what you're going to be doing. You'll have a research question in mind. All students, regardless of what you're doing, even if you are doing a creative project, it has to be put into an academic context. So each student will also have to have a research question, and they'll be doing some research just to make sure that you understand, how your project would fit into the industry and fit into an academic context. So by the winter, back up more. By the winter term, you have to take media entrepreneurship, also a required course. It has been taught by the dean of our faculty of the creative school. And he has a long history in media. He's been working for probably 20, 30 years in media. And it's kind of a course where you will learn the lay of the land. You'll learn the landscape of Canadian media. And he brings in guest speakers each week, top level guest speakers. So it's a great opportunity for you to network and to learn from people in the industry and to make those connections in the industry. It's always helpful if you stay for the extra 10 minutes at the end of the class and make those connections and get yourself linked up on LinkedIn and, set up that coffee chat after. And we recommend you take another 2 electives in that term. In the summertime, you don't have any courses that you have to take. That is the time when you'll be focusing solely on your project or your paper. So summer term, spring summer term, it'll start mid-April or early May, and you'll have May, June, and part of July to get your project finished. We would like to make sure you get your project and your paper finished by mid-July so that you have time for your supervisory team to take a look at it, and then you will do a presentation in early August. A couple of other options for you are that you can take an internship. You would find your own internship, but you can get credit for an internship. And again, that helps you to network and helps you to get your foot in the door in the industry. And we also have the possibility of RTA and LA. This is a course that is cross-listed with the RTA School of Media's RTA and LA as an undergrad course. And they will take about 4 graduate students along with the upper level undergrads. You go to Los Angeles, you'll stay on I believe it's UCLA campus for 2 weeks. And you will learn from a lot of people there. You will learn from, again, top level speakers. And the end is a pitch of whatever your project is going to be. So it's competitive to get into that program. There's an interview process for you to be able to access that particular course, but it's excellent. Okay, next slide. So what can you do when you graduate? Some things that you can do. Television producer, production manager, an executive producer. Number of our students have gone on to be development executives. We used to have quite a few TV writers, but I think most of those will have shifted by now to the Masters of Screenwriting and Story Design. We have students who have gone on to be video producers, photographers, gone on, some went on to law school, have worked in media business affairs. Next slide. Lots have gone on to be entrepreneurs. They work in marketing, they work in post-production. I think 2 have gone on to work in literary agencies, theater marketing, TIFF, Mervish, sales, distribution, acquisitions. A bunch of them have gone on to be teachers at this school and other colleges. And a bunch of them have gone on to do the MBA, which we'll talk about in a moment, or even to do PhD programs, especially if they want to get into teaching at the university level. And some of them just found their projects are so amazing that they want to go carry on and do them more in depth into the PhD. So that's always great too. We do have a PhD program that we could talk about as well within our school. So what is this MBA pathway? In 2 years, you will get 2 degrees. So the way that it works, you don't have to decide right now. The first year you apply to the Master of Arts. So you apply to the media production program and you spend your fall and your winter in this program. You would apply for the MBA in the fall. And to get into the MBA program, it's like a regular application process to the MBA. So you have to do your GMAT or the GRE. They'll take either. You have to have a couple of years of full-time work experience. I think there's an interview. You have to write a statement of interest, a bunch of things. but you would apply in the fall of your first year. So you just applied to this program, and then there's a pathway that is available to you. So if you decide that you want to do that and you get accepted into the program, and first year, I think we've done this about 3 years now. The first year we had one student, was our guinea pig. He went through it. Then we had, I think 2 students went through, and now I think we have 5 or 6 who are in it. 5 right now. Yeah, 5 right now in this year. So it's getting quite popular. And the students are enjoying it. It's hard work, but they are finding it really worthwhile. So if you decide to do that, you'll find out at some point in the winter term that you get accepted, and you will leave our program in that first summer. So you will not do your spring summer term with us. You would do it in the MBA program. If you do not have a business background as your undergrad, so if you don't have business, a BBA or something like that, or you don't have courses where you were taking accounting or economics, things like that, they have these foundation courses that they will offer in the springtime. So they are evening courses, but they will basically get you ramped up to make sure that you have the level of knowledge. I think it's finance, accounting, economics are usually the ones that our students need to take. You take those with the MBA program, and then in the fall, you basically jump in with all of the other MBA students, and you take your courses with them in the fall and the winter. And then in the following spring, so this is kind of like you're at the end of the second year, you can then finish off your Master of Arts production, or whatever it is, or your paper, whatever you're doing, as well as doing a capstone with the MBA program. And they have options for entrepreneurship, for, sorry, what's my doorbell? They have options for entrepreneurship, for an international option, as well as one if you want to, I guess you kind of like work with a company and you help to support the company to meet their goals. So we have, they have a lot of different options for you there. So it's up to you. If you think you can finish your Master of Arts production and paper by the end of winter in our first year, you're welcome to present and basically get all your work done for the MA program. But you're also welcome to continue on, not finish off your MA until the end of the second year, taking what you've learned within the MBA program and hopefully helping to use that even toward your Master of Arts production, and using it to kind of support it and scaffold it and make it better than it would have been. Okay, I think that's back to you now, Elaine, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Thank you, Lara. Yeah, I'm sure lots of you, I have a lot of questions for Lara. I will just go through quickly with admissions and the funding, and we will go straight to Q&A. All right, begin. I'd like to introduce Yates School of Graduate Studies, shortly in YSGS. YSGS oversees all the graduate programs at the university, from administration, graduate admissions, policies, and promotion and marketing. As a student in the program, you are part of the YSGS, but you are also part of the creative school. I'm sure lots of you already checked out the YSGS website about the admission requirements, the funding, and the tuition fees, etc. questions. For general questions such as transcripts, English language proficiency, those type of questions, you can direct them. For program specific questions such as statement of interest, portfolio, reach out to us. Let's talk about application process. First consideration deadline is January 19, 2024. What does first consideration deadline mean? It means if you submit your application, I'm referring to a complete application with all required documents plus your 2 reference. That way we make sure your application is going to be reviewed by the members shortly after January 19 in the first round. If you are eligible for scholarships, we will use your admission application for competition. Very important if you submitted your application by this deadline. This is for all the students, both domestic and international. For international, we do have a preferred deadline, December 10 this year. It's coming up. This deadline, we wanted to speed up the process to make sure your application is going to be reviewed shortly after January 19. Again, if you're eligible for a scholarship, we will enter your application for competition. You will hear later. I'm going to repeat about this deadline again, just to make sure that you don't miss that opportunity if you are eligible for scholarships. Just to keep in mind, application portal is still open after January 19. It just means it takes more time for you to complete all your required documents. And then we will have a second round or third round of application review. However, it depends on the number of applications that received in the first round and how many offers we issued in the first round. Two steps process for applications. Step one, you need to apply on the Ontario University's application center, short in OYAC. The application basically asks you about your personal information, your status, and your all the academic backgrounds and your reference information. Once you've done that, it takes about 2 to 3 business days for the university to send you an email with online identity information and how to create your online identity and how to upload your required documents. Okay, admissions requirements. I'm going to briefly talk about each component. Lara, if you want to step in, please step in anytime. Yeah, okay. The minimum admission requirements as we look at the last 2 years of your bachelor degree with a cumulative GPA of a B or equivalent 3.0 out of 4.33. This is based on TMU's GPA. No matter which institution that you graduate from, graduate admission officers will calculate the GPA on their end. Statement of interest and a project proposal. Basically, it is a cover letter that we want to hear why you want to study in the program. What are your motivations? What kind of area of media career and practice that you're hoping to achieve or to become? The production project that you want to work on, or a research project that you work on, why it is unique. You do need to provide a reference. Some of you might have done research already, and you know which who are the faculty members that you want to work on with your research project when you are in the program. That's great. When you fill out your application on your OUAC website, it does ask you for the 3 faculty members. Also, you want to tell us what kind of skills that you have right now, production or business side of experience. You want to tell us what do you want to build on that, or what do you want to achieve along with your project after you complete the program. Along with that, we want to see your resume. Basically, it's a list of academic credentials and experience that you achieved so far. You want to highlight your career achievements and any production piece or media management experiences that you have. Those 2 pieces work together. Basically tell us who you are, what do you want to work for, and what do you want to get out of the program. We do require 2 reference, preferably academic. However, we understand some of you might graduate some years ago or couldn't reach out to your previous professors or supervisors. In this case, you can provide 1 professional. The process of submitting your reference is once you provide your referee information on OUAC website, the graduate admissions will reach out to your referees directly with an email with a link and instructions how to submit your reference. You do need to follow up with them to make sure that they submit your reference, also to give them enough time for them to write you a good reference. January 19 deadline is the deadline for them to submit, but you know the Christmas is coming up, and the beginning of the winter term is very busy for them. So you want to make sure that you want to start application ASAP so they can get your email early and they know that, okay, the reference is coming. Along with that, you might want to add your resume and with as much as details possible to help them to write a good reference for you. The last piece is a portfolio. The portfolio, either written work or multimedia work, can be audio, video form, up to 3 pieces. For each media form portfolio, you do need to provide a statement to explain the portfolio that you submitted. It is professional critiqued or public presented. You want to include as much information as you can, including the reviews that you have. For larger production material, you do need to provide edited excerpts. For all the required documents, we only accept PDF. So you want to make sure the URL that you provide to your portfolio piece is working or it's in a short format. So it's easier for the members just type in the search engine to get it to your portfolio piece. Again, it's only one PDF file. So you want to make sure that you follow the process here. I'm sure a lot of questions you have, just keep them coming in the Q&A session. And Lara, do you want to add something right now, or you want to answer questions later?
I think you covered that very well, Elaine. So if students have questions or applicants have questions later, I'm happy to answer them. And there'll probably be specific questions for what they want to submit.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll just continue with the exciting part, funding. We have 2 parts of funding, internal, external. The 3 fundings that I'm going to mention here is based on your admissions application. No need to apply. Why I mentioned the deadline, the reason is exactly here. You want to make sure that your application is considered in the first round. The first funding is Toronto Metropolitan Graduate Fellowship, value from $2,000 to $6,000. This is for domestic students. The second one is Toronto Metropolitan Graduate Development Award, same value from $2,000 to $6,000. This is for international students. Also, the program has 1 Ontario graduate funding. It's $12,000 for 1 academic year. 3 fundings will be attached to your offer letter, and if you do receive an offer from the program. In addition, we have some program awards. Once you are a student in the program, we will reach out to you once the submission portal are open. Continue with the 2 big, very exciting scholarships. The first one is Ontario Graduate Scholarship. We also have Toronto Med Graduate Scholarship, value under $15,000 for 1 academic year. You do need to have an A- to be eligible for each last 2 years of your study. If you are eligible, we will reach out to you in February, March for a supplemental form. We will use your admissions application for competition for this one. And the second one is Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council Canada Graduate Scholarship, short in short. This is $17,000 for 1 academic year. Same eligibility. You need to have A- for each year of your last 2 years of your study. Today is November 23rd, so this is really coming up, December 1st. If you are eligible, I suggest you apply right now, literally right now. So this is a scholarship that you need to apply by yourself right now, and you are not even applying for the program yet. We're gonna link to the chat so you can learn more about the process and the application details. Daniel always reminded me that we have a lot of students apply and receive the SHRC before they even receive an offer from the program. And it is $17,000 a year. It's the biggest scholarship so far compared with all others. And it does help a lot for your tuition. For the second year, we will reach out to you with the application process, and we will provide as much assistance as possible to help you to submit your application if you are eligible in the second year. We also have other scholarships and awards. We're going to send the link in the chat so you can check out all those amazing awards and scholarships based on your own eligibility. In addition to that, you can also work while you are studying. We have graduate assistantship, research assistantship, and teaching assistantship. You can apply on our website, TMU Careers. And in addition to that, we have career boosts. There are a lot of on-campus jobs that you can apply. And each beginning of each term, those jobs will post out. And it's great opportunities. And you have a lot of options. And now we're going to Q&A session directly, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions. And this is the last page for the contact info for the program and also for Lara. Any questions later, you can always reach out to us. Let me just stop screen sharing so we can get started. So I don't know who's first. We have one question in the QA, and I see two people raise their hands already. The first one is, for thesis supervisor, should we choose one from the MA Media Production Program full-time professors, or supervision from other department in RTA will be okay as well?
So most of our students choose their supervisor from the MA program, but it's not mandatory. You can choose as long as it's someone who it makes sense in terms of subject matter. We always have some students who find professors in other schools within the creative school. Sometimes they need somebody, say, in psychology, or they need somebody from history. So it just depends. Almost all of the time, the supervisors are at least from Toronto Metropolitan University. There are some rare instances where maybe a second reader would be from outside the university. So it just depends on what your subject matter is and what expertise you need. But most of them tend to come from the Master of Arts faculty.
I think Cole is the second one who raised the hand. Cole, you want to ask your question directly?
Yes, yeah. That would be awesome. Thank you. Well, number one, could you go into a bit more detail on how to apply for the teaching assistantships? And then my second question would be, do you have to have a thesis supervisor, and what is the process like to get one? Do you have to have one before you apply?
You do not. You don't have to have one set up. We encourage you to reach out to faculty members, especially if there's someone that you particularly want to work with. There are always a number who are going on sabbatical, or they're on a research leave, or they're going somewhere else. So it's good to make sure that the person that you want to work with is going to be around during that term, but it's not required for you to have it set up. We do ask that you take a look through our faculty website and suggest 3 people that you might be interested in working with. That will help us to make sure that as soon as our students get admitted, we can start to have you reach out to those potential supervisors just to get a feel for, do you think it would be a good fit or not? All of our students by the end of October, for sure, will be set up with a supervisor. So it doesn't have to happen early on. It's great if you have an idea of who you'd like, because then we can get you in touch with them very quickly. But we will make sure that everybody gets a supervisor in the first term.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. The other part of the question was about the scholarship.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Sorry. I was just wondering about the teaching assistantships as well.
Oh, teaching assistantships. So yeah. So most of a lot of our students are TAs, it normally tends to be helping other professors with grading. So just before the beginning of each term, each undergrad school basically will let their professors know this is how many hours are available for you to have a teaching assistant. Then all of those names, all those courses will get put onto a list. We send out a form to all of our students, in the month or two before school starts, to say which courses are you interested in being a TA for. And then Sometimes there's an interview process with the professor as they are trying to find the best person who's the best fit. Some of them are just sort of done through the administration within the school, but we'll essentially, there's a list of courses. We'll ask the master's students, which ones are you interested in being a TA for? And then there's a matching process that happens, whether it's through interview or not.
Can you see the question in the Q&A? If not, I'm going to read out loud.
Okay, I see them. How many people are accepted every year? Approximately 16 domestic students get accepted each year, and usually 1 or 2 international students. Okay. Where do referees send their referral letters? They automatically get sent, I believe a prompt. You have to provide their contact information. So you have to make very sure that you've got their email address correct, and that it's an email address that they will be checking. And then it gets sent automatically, like within the system, it gets sent, and you won't see you will not see their recommendation letter. It gets sent directly back. It's kind of a form, and it allows them to actually upload a letter as well, but it gets sent directly back into the system. So they should get a link basically where they can upload things. Learn more about the portfolio. That means what to do for the portfolios. So your portfolio depends on what it is that you actually want to do. We would like to see 3 samples of work that really showcase your creativity. So the more you can show us that this is what you've done. So I guess the important part is a lot of media production is done in groups. So if you've been doing something in a group, we want to know what your part is. So I need to know what your particular contribution is so that we can assess, your level of your production knowledge, your level of skill. It doesn't matter really whether it is if you're using photography or if you're using something like a script that you've already written, or if you're using, a clip of a music video, or you're using a clip of a short film that you've made or something like a podcast. Make it relevant to whatever it is that you want your project to be, because that will help us to assess whether or not you have the skills sufficient to create that project within our program. So don't give us an entire album of work. If you want to do something in music, give us a clip. We'll listen to a few minutes of it. Like the same thing, if you've done a 90-minute film, don't give us 90 minutes of film. Give us 2 or 3 minutes, select the best part, something that represents your creativity, your best creative work, and let us see that. Okay. Do we need to include a research question in our statement of interest? Well, you probably won't have your research question fully developed yet, but we do want to know what you want to work on. So we are going to ask you, what is the project that you want to work on? I would recommend that if you already have a research question in mind, certainly include it. You can always revise it later on as you get into the term and you take the research methods class and you learn more about, audience theory or whatever it is that you're going to be learning about. You can certainly revise it in during the term, but it's good if you give us some references to show us that you've researched the area that you're going to be looking at, and that you have something in mind. Definitely we want to hear about the project you want to have, and if you can add a research question, that would be great. Do international students get I do not know what PGWP is, so I cannot answer that question. Daniel or Elaine, maybe you could answer that one.
Yeah, the PGWP is the Postgraduate Work Study Permit. You should contact the International Student Support Office to discuss any sort of visa study permit, stuff like that. I believe the program does qualify, but I would suggest you contact them. We can't really provide sort of immigration advice because we're not trained in that particular area. I'll put the link in the chat for you in a second, and then you can double check. But again, I do believe it does, but double check with them just to make sure that it takes on the boxes and it's the length of time that is required and so on. All right, but I'll put the link in the chat for you.
For the application references, should they be academic? They should be. If at all possible, they should be academic. Those are strongly preferred. We really need to make sure that we have someone who knows about your level of reading, comprehension, your writing abilities, your ability to critique. Those are the kinds of things that we're looking for. If it's been more than 10 years since you've graduated, then it would be okay to add a professional reference, but we would still, even in that case, we need at least one academic reference, if at all possible. Okay. Ideally, should the project we complete be in a specific field related to the field you want to go into? So if you want to go into broadcasting, it's really up to you. I mean, what you want whether you do a project that relates into the field that you eventually want to go into it's up to you. If you do something in the same field, it will at least give you something in your portfolio that you can show off, and you can say, look what I'm able to do, and it might help you to get into that field, it might help you to break into that field. But it's not required. Okay. Acceptance rate. I mean, we do have a lot of applicants. It does go over 100 applicants, I would say, most years, some a lot more. It really just depends on the year. It depends on the economy, it depends on the year, it depends on all kinds of things that are happening in the world, how many applications we get, but it is definitely very competitive. What if you haven't been out of school for 10 or more years? Then if you haven't been out of school for more than 10 years, we would definitely recommend having 2 academic references, because that's really what we need to take a look at. For students who are producing pilots, features, or pieces, is there any funding to aid production costs? No, we do not actually provide you with funding. You'd get free equipment. You can use free access to crew from students who are in 3rd and 4th year undergrad, and they are highly capable students by the time they get to 3rd and 4th year. They are all required to have a certain number of creative practice hours, and all grad student productions qualify as those creative practice hours. So basically they help you sign off as their supervisor, and they get some credit for assisting you. Now, that can get tricky if you're not doing your production until summertime, and those students have gone back home, or they're not local anymore. That can be a little bit tricky, but you can definitely use our 3rd and 4th year students, which cuts down quite a bit on the costs. And all of your equipment, as long as you get it through our equipment distribution center, and you use TMU's equipment, that equipment is free for you to use. Okay, how do we submit the PDF of the portfolio?
One, just made your application via the OUEC website. That will send the information to the university for graduate studies here at TMU. Then they will send you an email with the links and information and the portal, so you can create your account. And then once you create your account, then you can start uploading all the information about your portfolio, your CV, your statement of interest, all those different components in there via PDF files. Again, and just to touch base back on the PDF, the system will only accept PDFs, only PDFs. I'm gonna repeat that again. So don't try to upload a video, don't try to upload an audio file. For any of those things, just make sure you create the link, add it to the PDF, make sure that it's clickable as much as you can, because it'll save time for the review committee, and they'll like you better. And then if not, but make sure that the link is at least very, very short, so it's easy to type. I think if you, for example, if you upload the video to YouTube, you can get a really short link from YouTube, and then youtube.com/3 or something like that, something really short. And then that way it's easy for them to type if the PDF is not working. But yeah, everything has to be a PDF. And don't wait to submit your application. So because it's a 2-step process, like Elaine mentioned before, you can submit step 1 now, and if you're going to apply for the program, that way you get your account, your links and everything set up sooner rather than later. Don't leave it for January 18th, otherwise you probably won't make it to the deadline. So apply now, get it ready, get it started, and then upload everything once you get your link from the graduate admissions. And that's also a reminder, at the same time that you get your link from graduate admissions, usually your referees about your letters of recommendation will get the link around the same time. So just follow up with them, say, hey, I just received my link from admissions. I just wanted to check with you, make sure you received it, make sure that the email didn't go to their spam mailbox or something like that, so that they have it and they can actually respond on time. Because if we don't have a complete application, we cannot see your application. Is that simple? So make sure you follow up with them, right?
Okay, next question. If I have teamwork on a 30-minute short film, yes, please pick 5 minutes of the film. Don't give us the whole 30 minutes. Give us a 5-minute clip. 3 to 5 minute clip, I think, is sufficient. We can get a really good idea of what the camera looks like, how the camera work is, what the aesthetic is, what how the audio is, all of that. We will be able to glean it from a shorter clip. And again, if it's teamwork, make sure that you are very clear with what your part of the team is, what it is exactly that you did. what your role was. How many short films do you get to make during the 1 year? Well, it is a very busy year. You are not going to have a ton of time to be making more than your project, that whatever it is that you're going to be working on. That being said, if you take some of the MP, which are media production electives, a lot of those are hands-on. So for example, if you're taking documentary media, you'll be making a documentary. Or if you take comedy writing, you're going to be writing something for comedy, right? So it depends on what you take as your electives. Some of those will definitely involve more production, but the primary focus of what you'd be doing in this program is your final project and making it as high quality as possible. It is a very busy year. I mean, our students are pretty tired by the time they get to the end of this term. It is busy. So it's there, you won't have a lot of spare time. And what is the process for getting official transcripts? I think you just have to write to your school and get transcripts. So you probably have to pay a fee. Most of the time there's usually a link on their websites where it says, I need my transcripts, and you normally will just send in the address and have the transcript sent over.
I just wanted to say a little something for that. That's correct. Just contact your university. For the application process, you don't need official transcripts. You can actually get away with unofficial transcripts when you're applying. It's only if you get accepted, and at that point you will need to submit your official transcript. So if it's easier for you to just go online, download your own version of the transcript from the institution, from your online portal, you can do that for the application. But if you get accepted, then you have to contact the university, and they have to send it directly to us. And that's what we call an official transcript, when it comes directly from university to university. All right.
Do we have a slide on the electives? I do not have a slide right now, but if you take a look at our website, you'll be able to see what the electives are. I think Daniel posted a link to our media production program in the chat, so you should be able to see that there. For students who choose the MA MBA, to clarify, you begin in the MA program. We only have intake for the MA program in the fall, so fall is the only intake we have. During the fall, you will apply to the MBA, and so that's when you'll decide, do I need to take a GMAT or the GRE? What do I want to do? And I think their final deadline to apply sometime in March. So they also have a bunch of rounds of intakes. They have an early one in the fall, then they have one in January, then I think they have another round in March. And yes, it is separate. They do their own their own admissions. They're certainly well aware of our program. They like the students who are in our program. Our students have been happy in the program. So generally, I think we've had a pretty good response from, I think just about all of our students who have applied have been admitted at this point. They've all been very strong students. So, and at the end of the MBA term, will that student be eligible for the RTA and LA program? We do have students who, I don't know which term, Daniel, do you know offhand, do they go like in the first summer, or do they go in the second summer for RTA and LA when they go?
They can do either. So I think it depends on how, if you're doing the MA MBA, we've actually had students do both. I think it's usually recommended the first term, just because it's closer to your AMA side of things, and it affects like things like tuition and a whole bunch of other things. We've had, I think, maybe one or two do it in the second semester, but because you're closer to finishing your MRP and your project and your research, it gets a little complicated with deadlines and timelines, because you're basically flying out for, I think it's 2 weeks almost, and right in the time where you normally would do your presentation. So it gets a little more complicated. So usually the first spring term will be best.
Yeah, and I would say if you're doing the internship, we have students most of our students will do their internship either in the winter or in the spring while they're in the MA program. The MBA is also very busy. I don't think any of our students there have had time to do our internship program. They do a lot of other work. Most of our students who did the MBA also ended up working and doing things within the MBA program. So that you wouldn't, once you're in the MBA program, you would not be taking the media production internship per se, but you could take it in the winter term if you wanted to. The first year winter term. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Okay, great. Okay, for a faculty member, hang on, I'll get back. Is there more question? Go ahead, you can ask.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. Thanks, Laura. Sorry, just because I asked that question. So just to be extremely clear,
Yes.
you apply to the MA program this
Yes.
year. You do
Yes.
not apply to the MBA program until you have it confirmed that you are in the MA program. So I would
That's right.
apply next fall for the
Correct.
MBA. Okay,
Correct.
cool.
Yes.
Copy. Thank you.
So like our students right now are deciding, we just had the group came in from the MBA and they came into my class on Monday and did a talk and did a presentation. So right now they're making their decisions. Do we do it? Do we not? Do I want to do this or not? They're deciding right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the time.
Okay, for a faculty member, do you need to, you just need to list a name. You do not need to send them your project outline first. Just take a look through our list of our faculty members and what types of things they work on, and suggest 3 that you think that would be a good fit for you and for your project. It just helps you to get to know who is our faculty, what kind of things are they working on. And if you're coming to this program, finding a supervisor who is a really good fit is a really important part of the graduate experience. So we'd like you to take a look ahead of time, take a look at the types of things that our faculty members do. If it's the kind of thing that you're doing, it'll be a really good and comfortable fit, and that will make you a much happier student. Do we accept part-time students? We do not. You do have to come full-time to the program. We do have students who are working every year. I mean, they manage to juggle it. We've had students who have families and they still have full-time jobs and have not left them, but they have very good time management skills. They are tired and they have good time management skills. It's possible, it's not really recommended because it's busy. Okay. Should or can you include academic sources in the statement of interest? Yes, that'd be great if you do that. That'd be terrific. When can you expect to know? We'd like to do it as soon as we can. We will start to look at things as soon after the January 19th deadline. We will look at those as soon as we can and hopefully get answers to you, I would say by the end of February-ish, something like that. Usually we end up having to look at things over the reading week because it's, again, we've got a lot of stuff that is happening. We are able to get through things in the reading week, which is the week when it's family day. And we try and get through as much as we can by then. Do students who complete the program have a fall grad? Yes, they do. Their graduation ceremony is in October. No, if the faculty members already agreed to supervise you, you can put that into your statement of interest. You can say so-and-so I've talked to them and they've already agreed to supervise me. That would be fine. I think that is it. Anybody else have any questions? Jessica.
Hi, yes, sorry,
Hi.
I had one quick question.
Sure.
So I know you had mentioned for students looking at, let's say, producing like a video piece of work that things like the script and other assets already have to be developed in order to come to this program. So I'm looking more at game production, game design. So do you have any kind of guidelines as to what kind of assets we should have produced prior to entering the program?
That's it. I mean, that depends. I think you don't have to have too much developed in terms of game design. I think most of the students we've had come through with game design have worked primarily with Chris Alexander, who is one of our RTA faculty members. And we've actually had quite a few students who were former RTA students, and they did something on game design as part of a practicum, and then they continued working on it. So I can't really answer specifically how much do you have to have complete. Some can come in and from the start and just start working on it. If you already have something that is in the works, then we would certainly expect you to develop it a lot farther. So it kind of really depends on where you are in the process. Sorry, I know that's kind of vague, but it really just depends on where you are and what your skill set is.
Yeah, for sure. No, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Okay. How much I don't have a cost for RT and LA. I know you have to pay. There is an additional cost for airfare. There is tuition for the course. if you are taking it in if you're not in the MBA program, and I guess it's did they have to pay an additional tuition if they're, I know they have to pay additional airfare and housing and meals and things like that, but is there actual additional tuition cost as well, Daniel?
Yes, so there is there's multiple costs depending how you're doing. So if you're part of the MA program when you're taking it, you don't pay what we call a tuition per course, because the MA is designed to be sort of like a flat fee for the year. So you basically would pay the same for that. There is a cost, and what we call an ancillary fee. I believe last year was around $2,300, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And then there is the other cost of flying and the regular traveling expenses and stuff like that. So there is an additional cost for there. If you're part of the if you're taking it when you're in the MBA, it would depend. We would have to do it on a case-by-case basis, because we would have to make arrangements whether or not you're using it for credit, how you are using it for credit, for which degree, and things like that. So the cost might increase a little slightly for that if you're using it for credit for the MBA, because the MBA program uses charges tuition on a per course basis. So it's a little different, the tuition, the way the tuition works.
If you have questions later on, you can always reach out to us. Oh, there's one more from Cole.
Hey there. Yes. So just so as you mentioned the MBA program, so just in regards to the MBA, if you were to apply for the MBA program, when would you apply for OSAP?
I know it's OSAP eligible. I don't know when you apply, but I know they are OSAP. That was part of the presentation on Monday, is that they are eligible for OSAP or whatever other province you have to come from. You are eligible for funding. I don't know when I don't really know much about OSAP and when you have to apply.
Okay.
I can do a little bit of a overview. So normally for the MA program, you would apply before you begin the program in the fall. So that would be in the summertime before. Once you know you're accepted into the program, you have all that information, you begin your application for OSAP in the spring, summer, before the fall term begins. Now, usually at that point, you're basically applying for OSAP for the entire year as a graduate student. So you're applying for fall, winter, and spring. If you decide to then go and apply for the MBA program in the fall term, and you get accepted sometime in I would say probably January or March, somewhere around that time, at that point you will know that you're accepted and going into the MBA program. So your best option is, at that point you would need to contact our financial student office, make an appointment with them, and see what is the best way to, in a sense, update your current OSAP application. And begin the new one for the second year of the program. So because whenever you change your program, tuition costs will change, and that's basically just a change in your application that you'll have to make, and that really would be sort of the change you would make for the first year. For the second year, then you would do the same application that you did previously in the spring, summer before you start your second year in the MBA program. And hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of a timeline, but it does vary a little bit depending on when you decide you want to do the MBA, and two, when you get your offer of admission to the MBA.
Job admission. Okay. Yeah. Right. Thank you guys. I got my camera working. So, hey there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Aru.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, is there ever a scenario where you would be able to do an internship and RTA in LA, or do you have to choose between the two?
No, you could do them both. They can be your 2 media production electives. You can do both of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I do believe he allows, James Nadler is the professor who runs the program. He allows a few students from the MA program and a few students from the MFA program to go with him, along with undergrads.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if there is program deferrals. I wouldn't intend to do that ideally, but
like as in we admit you for the fall, but then you can't take it. Can you defer to the next fall?
yes, or would it just be a reapplication?
Generally, you would reapply, like unless somebody has a medical issue or something has come up. I mean, it's usually the exception though. So normally you would be expected to reapply. Any other questions? I know we've taken up a lot of your time already, but hopefully this has been helpful and we've got all the questions answered. If you have any other questions at all, by all means, send us an email later on and we'll be happy to respond to you.